Your stress is not caused by your schedule. It is caused by what your nervous system is doing inside of it. That is not a metaphor. That is physiology, because two people can live the exact same day, same hours, same demands, same commute, and arrive at the end of it in completely different states. One drained, one still standing. The difference is almost never what happened to them. It is how their nervous system processed what happened. And in Japan, there are 8 small habits, each one taking minutes or less, that do not remove stress from your life. They change how your body metabolizes it so that the same Tuesday that used to leave you hollow starts to feel manageable, then lighter, then eventually like yours again. Stay until number 8, because number 8 is not a habit for your hands. It is a filter for your entire day. And without it, the other 7 will help, but they will not hold. But first, number 4. Pay attention to number 4, because it is the one that most people skip, and it is the one that makes the biggest difference in the shortest time. Before we go through all 8, let us talk about what stress actually is, not what it feels like, what it is. Most of us think stress is an emotion, something we feel in response to a hard day, but stress biologically is a state, a measurable chemical state. Cortisol rises, heart rate increases, blood flow shifts toward large muscles and away from digestion and higher reasoning. The body prepares to fight or run. This system was designed for short bursts. A threat appears, the body responds, the threat passes, the body returns to baseline. That return, that coming back down, is the part that matters. It is what the whole system was built around. And here is the catch that modern life quietly exploits. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a genuine physical threat and a tense email, a looming deadline, or a difficult conversation replaying in your head at 11 at night. To the body, they all look the same. They all trigger the same chemical response. But a predator you could outrun in a minute. A worry has no edge and no end. So the response that was built for a minute simply never switches off. The problem is that modern life does not produce short bursts. It produces a low, continuous hum. The unread messages, the unfinished list, the background noise of a nervous system that never fully comes off alert, and a body stuck in that state does not rest well, digest well, think clearly, or recover. It just keeps running a program that was designed to last minutes for hours, for days, for years. The stress was never the real problem. The missing return was Japan has some of the most demanding work cultures on earth, and yet researchers studying daily stress recovery in Japanese populations keep finding something unexpected. Not lower stress exposure, better stress discharge, small embedded cultural practices that give the nervous system consistent, repeated permission to come back down. 8 of those practices, all of them available to you today. Habit number 1, a single breath before you respond. Not a breathing exercise, not a meditation session. 1 breath before you reply to the message that triggered you, before you react to the comment that stung, before the words leave your mouth in a conversation that has started to heat up. Here's the specific version that works fastest. Breathe in through your nose. Then, before you breathe out, take 1 more small sip of air on top of it. Then let the whole breath go, slowly through your mouth, longer on the way out than on the way in. In Japan, this kind of deliberate gap is held inside the concept of ma, the meaningful pause, the space between one thing and the next that gives what follows its weight. Ma is not hesitation, it is precision. Physiologically, a long, slow exhale is the key. It activates the vagus nerve, the long nerve that runs from the brainstem down through the body and carries the signal to slow the heart and stand the stress response down. Research on heart rate variability has consistently shown that even 1 controlled breath cycle, with the exhale longer than the inhale, can produce a measurable shift toward a calmer state. You cannot control what arrives. You can always control the breath before you respond to it. That is habit number 1. Habit number 2, step outside for 5 minutes with no destination. Not for exercise, not with earbuds in, not while checking your phone, just outside, standing or walking slowly for 5 minutes in the middle of your day. Not first thing, the middle. The moment when the day has started to pile up on you and you can feel your shoulders climbing toward your ears in Japan. This connects to Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing, the practice of being present in a natural setting and simply receiving what it gives, without trying to extract anything from it. You do not need a forest, you need outside. The change in light, the absence of a ceiling, the way sound travels differently when there are no walls to hold it in. Research from Japanese institutions over the last 2 decades has consistently found that even brief time in outdoor environments produces measurable reductions in cortisol and blood pressure. And there's something about a horizon. Indoors, your eyes are always focused on something close. A screen, a wall, a face. Outdoors, they relax onto distance. That small physical change, letting your gaze reach for something far away, is itself a signal to the nervous system that there is nothing urgent right in front of you. So find the furthest thing you can see and let your eyes rest on it. A rooftop, a tree line, a single slow cloud. Breathe once gently while you hold it in view. That is the entire practice, and it takes less time than the coffee break you would have spent looking at your phone. 5 minutes, no goal. That is habit number 2. Habit number 3, wipe one surface. 4 seconds. After you wash your hands, after you brush your teeth, after the dishes, every time. A small cloth, one swipe. The surface looks exactly as it did before you used it. In Japan, there is a deep respect for what is called Mizumawari, the spaces around water, kitchens, bathrooms, the counters near faucets and drains. Water areas are treated as a reflection of the mind. Standing water, damp surfaces, small spots left to dry, all of it believed to breed a stagnant, heavy energy, not just in the room, in the person living inside it. Research from the Princeton Neuroscience Institute has shown that visual clutter in your immediate environment competes for your brain's attention continuously below the level of conscious awareness. Every damp spot, every cluttered edge registers as a tiny piece of unfinished business. One is nothing, but a home full of them is a mind that never gets to fully rest, the way a phone with a dozen apps open in the background quietly drains its own battery. Here's why 4 seconds beats a 2-hour clean. The 4-second wipe never lets the mess reach the size that requires the 2-hour clean. You're not cleaning, you're closing a loop before it opens. Wipe the surface, 4 seconds every time. That is habit number 3. Now, habit number 4, the one I told you to pay attention to. Habit number 4, rest deliberately in the middle of the day, not sleep, not a full nap. 10 to 20 minutes of intentional stillness, eyes closed, somewhere between noon and early afternoon, away from screens, away from tasks, a complete stop. Here's the biology. Your body does not run on a single daily energy cycle. It runs on what researchers call ultradian rhythms. Biological cycles of roughly 90 to 120 minutes that rise and fall through the day, governing your alertness and focus. At the natural end of each cycle, the brain needs a brief recovery before it can climb again. Push through that dip with caffeine or willpower, and the cost does not vanish. It accumulates and it arrives as a hard crash in the mid-afternoon. Simple decisions feel heavy. Creative thinking goes quiet. Patience runs thin. Research from University College London has found that daytime rest, even non-sleep rest with the eyes simply closed in a quiet space, produces measurable recovery in cognitive performance. You do not have to fall asleep, you only have to stop. The practical version is almost too simple. Set a timer for 15 minutes, put the phone in another room, not just face down, close your eyes, let your attention rest on your breath. Or on nothing at all. When the timer sounds, you return to the day sharper than any second cup of coffee could have made you. 10 to 20 minutes, eyes closed. That is habit number 4. Habit number 5, pause before you eat. Every time, not to pray, not as a formal ritual, just to stop for a breath or two before the first bite. To look at what is actually in front of you, to register consciously that you are about to eat. In Japan, This is the phrase Itadakimasu, spoken before every meal, usually translated as I humbly receive. But the function it serves is not religious, it is neurological. It is a clean boundary between activity and nourishment, a single moment in which the nervous system is asked to shift out of doing and into receiving. Research is consistent here. People who pause before eating tend to eat more slowly, feel full sooner, and report more satisfaction from the very same food. But the deeper effect reaches past the plate. The pause before eating is practice for the pause before everything. It teaches the nervous system the small forgotten skill of arriving at something before you are already rushing on to the next thing. Try counting to 10 before you pick up your fork. It will feel strangely long the first few times. That length is the point. It is the width of the boundary you have been living without. Pause before you eat, every single time. That is habit number 5. Habit number 6, write 3 sentences before you sleep. Not a journal, not a diary, not something that takes 20 minutes and starts to feel like homework. 3 sentences, 1 moment from today you do not want to forget. One thing that worked, however small, one thing you are willing to look forward to tomorrow. Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania found that people who spent a short time each night identifying small good things from their day for as little as 2 weeks showed significant increases in well-being that lasted for months after they stopped. Not because their lives changed, because their attention changed. And attention directed consistently slowly reshapes what the brain records as the overall texture of your life. The reason it goes at night is deliberate. The last thing your mind turns over before sleep tends to set the tone it carries into rest. Most of us hand it the day's unfinished worries. This habit hands it 3 small proofs that the day contains something worth keeping. 3 sentences, 2 minutes, every night. That is habit number 6. Habit number 7, reset one room for 60 seconds every evening. Before dinner, before screens, spend 60 seconds returning the 3 most visible surfaces in your main room to their starting state. The coffee table cleared, the cushion straightened, the bag by the door, not on the floor. In Japan, this belongs to the daily practice of Katazuke. The returning of things to order, a home that resets every evening, never accumulates the kind of disorder that swallows an entire weekend to undo. The dread that gathers around an overwhelming home does not come from any single mess. It comes from accumulation, the slow daily layering of small things left undone until the whole space begins to feel like a problem instead of a place to rest. 60 seconds closes that loop every single evening before it can grow. No Saturday quietly disappearing into catching up. No Sunday you spend bracing against. And notice the feeling of walking back into a room that was reset by you for you an hour ago. That small gift to your future self is most of the point. 60 seconds. That is habit number 7. And now number 8. The one I told you at the beginning was different from all the others. Habit number 8, the filter in Japan. There is a word called Mottainai. It carries the weight of an entire philosophy inside a single sound. It expresses a quiet unwillingness to let something of value pass by unappreciated, unnoticed, unused. Applied to daily life, Mottainai is the filter that runs quietly underneath all 7 habits before this one. It is why you take the breath before you respond, because Mottainai says the moment deserves more than a reflex. It is why you step outside, because Mottainai says 5 minutes of daylight should not be wasted staring at a wall. It is why you wipe the surface. Rest in the afternoon, pause before eating, write 3 sentences, and reset before sleep. All 7 habits are expressions of the same underlying decision, that your time is worth using well, that your attention is worth aiming well, that your days deserve to be noticed while they are still here, instead of mourned once they are gone. Mottainai is never loud. It is not dramatic. It is the quiet, consistent, everyday decision that the life you already have is worth fully inhabiting. Once you see it, you begin to see it everywhere. in the way certain people move through their days without ever seeming to rush, in the way certain homes feel lighter than their size should allow, in the way some people seem to get more out of the same hours everyone else is given, not because they are more disciplined than you, because somewhere along the way they decided their days were worth that decision. That is Mottainai. That is habit number 8. Here is everything in one breath. One breath before you respond. 5 minutes outside with no destination, 4 seconds to wipe a surface. 10 to 20 minutes of deliberate rest, a pause before every meal, 3 sentences before sleep. 60 seconds to reset what you can see. And beneath all of it, Mottainai, the quiet decision that your days are worth doing well. None of this costs money. None of it requires a different life. Every single one of these 8 habits can begin inside the life you are already living today. Now, I want to hear from you right now before you close this. Which one of these 8 habits is the one your daily life is most missing? Is it the breath you have never once taken before responding? Is it the afternoon rest you have talked yourself out of for years because the world told you stopping was the same as falling behind? Is it the 3 sentences you have never written because the day always seems to end on what went wrong instead of what was worth keeping? Drop the number 1 through 8 because naming the one thing is the first real step toward doing it. And someone else reading your comment might recognize exactly where they are and feel for the first time a little less alone in it. If this changed the way you see your day even slightly, share it with one person in your life who is carrying more stress than they should have to. They might be 8 tiny habits away from a version of their days that finally feels like theirs again. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one. This content is for general well-being and lifestyle inspiration only, not medical advice.